A Nobel Prize-nominated philanthropist and 22 other Armenians are facing sham trials in Azerbaijan, where systematic abuse and deteriorating health conditions now threaten their lives. A year and a half after displacing 120,000 Armenians from their homeland, Azerbaijan is starting to prosecute the Armenian prisoners of war it captured. Among them is Ruben Vardanyan, a philanthropist who funded schools and scholarships in Armenia. He, like the others, is charged with crimes that date back to the 1980s, though he didn't enter Nagorno-Karabakh in an official capacity until 2022. Azerbaijan accuses Vardanyan of bringing 16.8 million small arms into Artsakh. That would be 140 guns for every man, woman, and child who lived there. It's also several times the amount of small arms owned by the entire US military. Needless to say, it's a logistical impossibility and a totally ludicrous claim. Azerbaijan also accuses Vardanyan of planning Operation Nemesis II, a plot to assassinate Azerbaijani diplomats abroad. This is a reference to Operation Nemesis, a 1920s campaign by Armenian revolutionaries who targeted perpetrators of the Armenian genocide. It's clearly political theater intended to inflame tensions. Also, it's totally fictional, as is the claim that Vardanyan used the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative, an internationally recognized NGO, to funnel funds to armed forces. But these fake trials are no surprise. Azerbaijan is certifiably authoritarian. It ranks 164 out of 180 countries in the World Press Freedom Index. Hundreds of political prisoners are detained in Azerbaijan. According to Transparency International, Azerbaijan is one of the most corrupt countries on earth. And while Azerbaijan technically allows opposition parties, it's an illusion. One opposition candidate in 2018 even admitted that he voted for Aliyev instead of himself. And this Azerbaijani regime's ill treatment of Armenian prisoners of war is well established. Human Rights Watch has documented numerous instances of Azerbaijani forces torturing Armenian prisoners of war. Former captives reported being beaten, deprived of mattresses and blankets, and given inadequate food and water. And the torture extends beyond physical violence. Armenian detainees have been forced to kiss the Azerbaijani flag, praise President Aliyev, and declare that Karabakh is Azerbaijan.
Karabakh is Azerbaijan, and that's all.
This pattern of maltreatment continues with Azerbaijan's current Armenian detainees. Ruben Vardanyan began a hunger strike on February 19th to protest the violation of his legal rights. He's been subjected to prolonged isolation, denied water, forced to stand for many hours at a time, and deprived of sleep. He reports being coerced to sign falsified protocols and interrogation reports. And all of the Armenian detainees have been denied access to case materials in languages they understand. Vardanyan was given 21 days to review 422 volumes of documents, all in Azerbaijani. International legal teams have been completely barred from communication or visits, as has international media.
All Armenians are being represented by Azerbaijani lawyers, well-qualified lawyers who represented the political prisoners of Azerbaijan. They were dequalified by Azerbaijani bar or subjected to criminal persecution.
We are trying to consolidate international community also to put more pressure on Azerbaijan for the release of Armenian hostages. We are speaking about hostages. Now, if before we were trying to qualify them POWs or other captives, but it is clear that they are kept there for political reasons, which means that these people, all of them, are hostages.
The bitter irony with these trials is that Azerbaijan suffered no consequences for the 2020 war, the 9-month starvation blockade, or the 2023 attacks that resulted in the ethnic cleansing of Artsakh. Instead, Azerbaijan got to host COP29, the UN Climate Change Conference. While there was a brief period of international media coverage of Azerbaijan's attacks and the mass exodus of Armenians, comparatively little is known about what life was like for the few who stayed behind. In the whole of Artsakh, that's about 20 people. One of them is Sergei Ogoltsov, a Ukrainian who lived in Artsakh since the 80s. He stayed behind after the mass displacement to write a book.
After the exodus, I left in Stepanakert for 8 months.
He also took thousands of haunting photos. The pictures of the pets Armenians were forced to leave behind absolutely kill me. One small grace. Sergei says the Azerbaijanis let a couple of the Armenians feed the animals around Stepanakert, but he added that they mocked the Armenians behind their backs.
And they laughed at Karen. He was walking the town with 2 bags, and at certain places he was feeding cats. They saw Karen, they laughed.
Azerbaijanis treated mocking Armenians in Artsakh like a sport.
Allah haqqı ermənidir, baba gedir qabağımızda. Ha baba. Sür. Ara incə sasar.
Ara monçe.
İncə sasar.
Ha?
İncə sasar.
Monçe Marcel.
Oh, yes. Sür.
Monçe.
Azerbaijani state media launched a propaganda campaign portraying those who stayed behind as beneficiaries of Azerbaijan's supposed benevolence. One claim they repeated endlessly was that these Armenians had been offered Azerbaijani citizenship. To bolster the narrative, Azerbaijan even set up a website to help Armenians apply. Absurdly, the website is available in English, a language very few Artsakh Armenians speak.
The purpose of this portal is to ensure sustainable reintegration of Armenian residents living in the Karabakh region of the Republic of Azerbaijan.
There was just one problem. None of the people left in Nagorno-Karabakh had internet access or cellular service.
To have internet, you should have the SIM card. To buy the SIM card, you should show your passport. I didn't have Azeri passport.
So no Armenian was truly offered Azerbaijani citizenship, and shortly after taking full control of Artsakh, the topic disappeared from Azerbaijani media. One of the most disturbing parts of Sergei's account was what happened during official visits. When Aliyev would come to gloat or vote for himself in Stepanakert, all the Armenians would be rounded up and held under armed guard, essentially under arrest.
When some big shot from the Azeri authorities was coming to the town, everybody collected and arrested at the same hotel. Kept there until the big shot gone.
It wasn't just preventing Armenians from all contact with the outside world or regularly arresting them that made it clear Azerbaijan had no interest in coexisting. Azerbaijan also cleared out Armenian homes and resettled Azerbaijanis in them. Likewise, Armenian businesses were given to Azerbaijanis. The people that took over the Florence Garden restaurant didn't even bother to redecorate it before slapping a new name on it and reopening. The Artsakh situation is far from resolved. Of the many injustices related to it, the most dire are the cases of the 23 Armenians subjected to sham trials in authoritarian Azerbaijan.
Unfortunately, international human rights organizations haven't actively reacted to these crimes, and one of the reasons of increase of the number of those crimes in this region is also due to inadequate reaction by international society.
In a general manner, if we are to describe what Azerbaijan is doing in Artsakh, we can say that after having no Armenians there, they are just now erasing Armenian traces, trying to say that there were no Armenians here. Armenians are not indigenous to these lands, and changing the history of Artsakh completely. And they are acting in a complete permissiveness. There is no any properly working leverage or properly working mechanism of holding Azerbaijan accountable for all these crimes.